go. Welcome into the PHNX Rising
Max, what is that
post-game show. Phoenix Rising win 1-0 over FC Tulsa. That is a first home goal in 7 weeks. That is a first home win in 7 weeks. And that is a back-to-back dubs for the first time in 2024. Phoenix Rising notches, folks. Here we go. Their 11th clean sheet of the season. That is best for third in the USL, the third most clean sheets in the USL championship. We are here. We are rocking. Listen, it's a good result. We'll talk about the performance a little bit more. Might bring us down to earth a bit, but hey, you know what? We're reveling in 2 1-0 victories in back-to-back matches. I am Max Simpson, and I'm joined by the incomparable Owain, the Oracle Evans. How are we doing, buddy?
Well, they won.
You're darn right.
And it was a must-win game.
Woo!
So again, we can go into some of the, whether you want to go with negatives or if you want to take positives out of this game. There are both. I think that you can take out of this game.
Sure.
But the biggest thing you can take out of this game is in a match that this team had to win. They did.
There's a number of directions we can and will go with this match. And before we even dig too much into the positives and the negatives, let's start overall with just kind of the complexion of this, right? We painted the scene very much throughout this week of this is a must-win game. You echo it there in the sense of, right, you knowing not really as much of there's a lot of matches left in the season. We get that, but knowing not only who's right behind you and on your heels, but even more importantly, you're level with points on FC Tulsa going into this match, and you could own the head-to-head tiebreaker. So this was a must-win.
Yes,
we knew 100%. that there were a couple members from the squad who were out. We knew that Remy Cabral on international duty. We knew that Remy Cabral was going to be available for selection. While he was ultimately selected, right? Probably not too many surprises given the lack of playing time recently. He was not out of the starting lineup. We did see a couple different wrinkles in for what we were used to. What do you think of the starting 11?
Yeah, I mean, Darius Formella out wide is something that we haven't really seen a lot of. I think what we'd seen in this kind of position, it wasn't too dissimilar necessarily a formation from earlier on in the season when you're not including guys like Joel Margarita, when you're not including Darius Johnson. I'd say the main change there, of course, you have Darius Formella out there instead of, say, Federico Varela. I think that was a better choice in this case. When you have Darius ready to go in that kind of position, I think he does more for you than Fede has done in those positions. I think we saw it today when we saw some of his attacking movement. I think we saw it in the penalty that he managed to draw. I think he contributes substantially more when he's allowed to play in that position, and when he's versus when you have a Federico Varela out there in that wide position. It makes it work more easily. Look, it's an understandable lineup again, given I think where this team is in terms of absences, where they are in terms of injuries, all of those things coming together. At the same time, you kind of still want a little bit more, don't you, out of them? And the intriguing thing to me comes as you look forward now. Obviously, Remy Cabral comes off the bench. Obviously, you get those, he makes his late appearance. You hope down the line that guys like, maybe Varela comes back from injury and gives you an option, probably off the bench. Maybe Stenberg comes back. Look, he struggled a lot with valley fever since contracting that at the end of last season. It's definitely left him in a bit of an awkward position, I think, fitness-wise overall. But you hope maybe they come back and are available later on into the push. But at the same time, tonight's lineup was effective enough against this Tulsa opposition that we saw tonight. I think that they controlled the match in the first half completely. Whether they managed to capitalize enough on that control and that domination, that's up for debate. However, it was enough to see off a team that ultimately, again, you had to win. You had to win tonight, and this team managed to do so.
Absolutely.
That's the key takeaway.
Absolutely. We're all winners here in tonight's show. We got Kevin and Chad, Andrew, Damon, even Jacob Franklin making an appearance. It's time for a championship run, fellas. I bet you would like that, Jacob Franklin. Wouldn't we all? But listen, we got to go one thing at a time first, right? Again, so we're talking about the lineup, right? Yes, Darius Formella being out there, right? You kind of saw, I think, when we've had Joe Margarita or maybe some guys who their game is built more a bit around that pace, that one-to-one ability. That's not to say that Darius can't do that, but that's not necessarily his game. He's a bit more deliberate. He's a bit more methodical with it. We saw that in those other matches, it's more of an isolation. It's more of a get out wide and let the men work. We saw a lot more overlaps. We saw a lot more overloads on that side. Emi Quajo getting a mix, even Julio Dortiato overloading on that side. But really, for all the overloads that we saw, the goal came from a very nice set of play. Phoenix Rising, they were pushing the entire first half. The ball was essentially in their attacking half the entire time, but it actually came from a bit of a counterattack out of nowhere. El Paso get the ball. It's one, and then Emi Quajo sprays it out. First touch wide out to Darius Formella, has acres of space. Listen, Emi Quajo, if he doesn't play that ball first time, we're not saying that doesn't get to Darius Formella, but the space that he has and being able to take his man one-on-one may disappear. He goes inside, he dribbles, cuts inside. Talk about the penalty shout. On our end, where we saw it, we were in the south end, clear penalty.
I mean, it felt like it was a penalty. I think again, we don't have the best angle on that. We're sometimes looking through bodies. In this case, we were looking through bodies. But I completely understood as soon as he went down, my first reaction was to look to the referee thinking that could well be a penalty.
There was zero hesitation.
I didn't see, and there wasn't a huge amount of dissent. It didn't feel towards it. So, look, on the field, the players accept it. I haven't, unfortunately, been able to watch a replay of it in real life. In real time, it felt as though, yeah, that's a solid penalty shout. And yeah, you take it. It's questions that you ask when I think some of those cutbacks that we saw from Darius, the changes of direction that we saw from him, and it did ask questions of the defense. I saw it a few times. It wasn't just on the penalty that you see some of those, that movement that he had in the attack. And that is really, I think, something that's critical that he brings that maybe certain other players that we've seen in those positions haven't always brought in all of these games, or maybe even, to be frank, that we haven't always seen from Darius this season.
100%.
Okay, I think this is one of his better performances in the attack.
I agree.
I will say though, and I'm going to go on this one now with some points you were making in terms of the first half and in terms of the way that they were controlling that game. Phoenix Rising complete domination of the first half. Tulsa weren't really in the game. They had one or two quick counterattacks, which maybe they could. I mean, we were watching it, and you know how it is sometimes when a team is struggling overall in the standings. You kind of look at those moments and go, you know what? This is their luck this season.
It's a bit of a flash.
What's going to happen?
It's a bit of a flashpoint.
You're going to control a game, and then they're going to catch you on a counter, and you just sit there and go, how on earth did that happen? Sometimes that's felt like the way that's Phoenix Rising season's gone this year. They didn't manage to do that, and in the end, it was complete domination from Rising in the first half. However, I still think there's a lot to be worked on in terms of actually creating that final chance at the end. What we saw a lot of tonight, I think, was typical Phoenix Rising, a lot of half chances that you don't manage to put away. This team hasn't necessarily put away those half chances throughout the course of the season. They had them, they created them. There were some, but I mean, again, I'm chatting to people at halftime and someone tells me, oh, the best chance you had I asked them, what was the best chance you think was other than the penalty? And they go, oh, Quajo's from distance. It's one of those ones where if you look at it and say your best chance in the half was a shot from outside the box, you're probably not creating the clear-cut chances that you want. There's still room to work with that, okay? Again, if you have 70-odd% possession in a half, you shouldn't necessarily have to rely on a penalty to put you ahead at the break. That's still something that Rising needs to work on. Sure. Getting the one goal. I mean, we saw even at the very end then, Tulsa put the ball in the back of the net. It's called for offside. If you can't find ways to turn domination into multiple goals, sure, you are risking at every step giving away points.
It is without a doubt.
But the 1-0 at halftime was still probably deserved, I think, on the balance of the half.
It was. Man, chat, you are crushing it. To Barris in the chat, first time seeing Rising win in person. Let's go. We even brought Kyle Cooper, man behind the Mac, out here in person. And make sure to hit that like button. If not for us, do it for him, right? We got 50 plus of you here watching live. Hit that like button. Do it for the pod. Do it for Kyle. Yeah, I very much agree, right? I think this is kind of one of those things where we have seen so much sample size that it's not even a sample size anymore, really, throughout the season. This club is, again, they're living on the margins, and that's what they're going to do. And the way that they play, right? Your point is exact. If you are not going to be scoring multiple goals, you're going to leave it much harder on yourself. Now, the good thing is, again, shout out to Stat like Reese, again, with the stat of the third most clean sheets in the USL Championship this season. You are able to rely on those margins. However, they're still thin. So if you're not scoring multiple goals, we know how unpredictable this league is. We know how unpredictable this sport is. Things can happen and they can change very quickly. Now, I will say this. The one thing that this match had that was, I'm not necessarily saying it's a trend because I don't think it is, but we have seen now in back-to-back matches, Phoenix Rising, I'm not going to say necessarily against the run of play. In a way, maybe too, it is. Both of their goals in their back-to-back 1-0 matchups was coming off of a run, coming off of a ball played out, played forward, running in from behind, a little bit of a cutback. Goal last game against Real Margarita. Yes, took a deflection, but it was a cutback goal there. Darius Formella, cutback, penalty one. All I'm saying is this. If you are looking for this team to always take this sustained possession and turn it into multiple goals, I think we've kind of seen you're going to be left disappointed. But it is a very hard way to live if you are able to grab a penalty, grab a goal. While it is easier said than done, this can be something to where you could eke out wins. It's a lot of ifs, but I'm just trying to be realistic because this sustained possession, it's led to more shots this game. It led to more XG, but this is very much a way where it's not going to always lead to multiple goals. We've seen that this season.
See, I'll pick you on bit there. It's not against the run of play. So that first half goal is definitely not against the run of play. What it is it is the team putting into practice the verticality that we know from comments that have been made in the past, right? What Bobby Dooley told us in the interview after Danny Stone departed the club, they wanted to see a more vertical style of play at times this season. What you have gotten here is that kind of moment. You're seeing them where they're quicker to transition from having the ball at the back to really going at you. You're stretching the defense vertically. And what I think has come in with that one is it's more, you obviously, when you bring proper wingers in, you change the game in terms of what they're going to do. Joe Margarita, perfect example of that. He's a pacey guy, pacey enough guy as a winger. He's someone who we saw he's had the quality. He's threatened at different times. It wasn't just that moment when he got the goal, right? And when you have those moments, you can make things happen. I think that Darius Formella looked a lot more comfortable out there today in the role that he played in versus maybe what... Are you getting a phone call from Sam? Pick up, Max. Pick up.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
But I'll get back to my point now. As you look at it, Darius Formella, I think, looks a lot more comfortable in terms of... He looked a lot more comfortable out wide, even than I think we've seen him in... I know in some of the friendlies we saw that in moments. It's an interesting one in terms of, I think, they're finally managing to put into practice something that the hope was they'd be able to do at the start of the season. Mm-hmm. But it's taken them a very, very long time to get here. Obviously, the goal that you saw last week is with someone who just wasn't here with the team.
Sure.
Today, it's seeing what Darius can do when he's allowed to play in those wide spaces and looks confident in those wide spaces.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think we're saying similar things of there is a bit more intentionality to play a bit more vertical and that we do have new players in the space. Again, I'm coming from the fact that I think you're going to have to live with these tight margin games. I think you're going to have to live with a lot of games where Phoenix Rising, if they get a goal, I'm not saying they're not going to be pushing for a second goal. I'm not saying that they're not capable of scoring a second goal, but we have seen this team has only 6 matches this year. Actually, this is thanks to John McPherson for looking this up, not Stack Like Reese. 6 matches this year where they have scored 2 goals or more. They don't have a lot of multi-goal games in them, at least from what we've seen. You're going to have to get comfortable with living a bit dangerously, with living on the edge. And that, again, this is just me. It's trying to base reality and expectation. We're going to see matches like this where they're overinflating in possession, where they're overinflating in XG. And, as we get into the numbers here in a little bit, you're going to see it was pretty dramatic. It's not going to always lead to multi-goal games. Before we dive a bit more into the stats, we want to play out. Let's talk through the penalty, because in real time, we were kind of chatting. We were saying, who takes this knowing that Tomas Angel, your number 9, is not with a goal, and you are faced with a situation. You want to get his confidence going, but he has looked shaky in terms of some finishing. He's had some half chances. If he puts this away, it is a great time for things to come. If he
misses,
oh boy.
Yeah,
we saw it in real time. We thought Renzo might step up.
Renzo took a great penalty in the shootout in the final. But I did ask Diego about this and said, was there any hesitation in Tomas taking it? He said, no, Tomas was the penalty taker tonight. It was decided beforehand, and
okay,
pretty straightforward. The confidence was in him from the start of the game. If that ball, if the referee pointed to the spot, Tomas Angel, if he's on the pitch, he's going to be the one to step up and take it.
He absolutely was. And you know what? That's exactly what happened. Listen, at the other side of the break, we will kind of chat a little bit further, right? We'll get into the numbers. We'll dissect all the nitty-gritty and fun stuff for you guys. You know how much we love the numbers. And, I guess stat accuracies helped those and everything like that. But, of course, one thing that we love the numbers even more is the number 20. Do you know what's so significant about number 20? It's how much % you can save off your order of brandedbills.com by using the promo code PHNX. That's right, brandedbills.com. Use promo
save
code.
That money. Our producer Carly's wearing one right now.
The hat.
I tell you what, Stat Lackey, bring the hat over to show it off. Come on.
If you wouldn't mind
Come
taking
on.
off
Stat Lackey Reese.
Off his head. Yes, of course. Would you look at that?
There
look at that. Oh, yeah.
Looks perfect for a team that's going to beat Mississippi State tomorrow.
A little too much hand. More Branded Bills hat, please. Thank you. Yes. That. Oh, yes. Now we're talking. One more rotation. Make it dance. Yes, brandedbills.com. Promo code PHNX. Save 20% off your first order. They got ASU hats. They have U of A hats. If you're listening, they have all types of hats. Arizona State. They have Arizona State hats. They have hats for all different of the states throughout the country.
Hand model Reese says
you want to rep Phoenix Rising? Do so with a Branded Bills hat. Again, brandedbills.com. Promo code PHNX. Save 20% off your first order. Also, shout out. We love saving money. Thanks to our friends over at Circle K. Again, if you haven't done so, what are you doing? What are you doing in the chat? If you have not joined their Inner Circle program, go today, download the Circle K app, opt into their Inner Circle program. All you need is a phone number, and you can save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Again, with the Inner Circle program, you get all types of perks as well, including some free Polar Pops, some discounted other options, and they're just throwing you stuff. Right? Other day, I got extended a little Polar Pop promo. The other day, I got a free bag of chips. They come with all these different things. It's great. Super easy to do purely just by being an Inner Circle member. We love Circle K. The proud partners of the, there you go, drawing a little K.
That was a circle.
That was a circle.
The K inside.
That was a circle. It was life is a circle, and there's a K in the middle. But yes, yes, circlek.com and their app. Inner Circle app. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. See stores for details. All right.
Mr. Simpson.
You like that one.
What's coming up next?
Let's take a look at
shout out, by the way, to all of you in the
you guys are crushing it. 60 plus. Let's go hit that like button. Hit that like button or else producer Kyle, who is here in person, he will come on this camera and we'll all be in trouble. We don't want that. We want to keep him. He's a pretty face, handsome man, but we want to keep him behind the Mac and off camera. That way we don't get yelled at. So let's take a look at By the Numbers, presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Phoenix Rising 1, FC Tulsa with a big old donut, 0 burger, 2.01 XG for Phoenix Rising. Shout out to Stat Like Reese, their highest XG total of the season. FC Tulsa a measly 0.26 XG. Possession hanging in the rafters. Phoenix Rising win another possession battle, 62-38. Shots, here's the big one, 16 for Phoenix Rising, 6 for Tulsa. And the shots on goal, 1 of 6 Tulsa shots were on goal. Phoenix Rising, 5 of 16. You got the higher XG, higher possession, higher shots.
Again, context on again of the XG. Remember that 0.788 of that is obviously the penalty,
and that's very true. But
that's fine. I mean, the header that Tomas Angel had as well. They gave it a 0.307 XG. I think that's a bit unfair. I think that you have to consider. Well, the thing is, his momentum was taking him away from goal.
He's
obviously not the biggest guy, and XG's not considering that. So sometimes that can. Obviously, that makes things a little bit more complicated. I think that was a harder opportunity than it looked because, again, he's moving away from goal. He's not the biggest guy. It's not an easy opportunity. But But yeah, you take it again. I feel as though Phoenix Rising were overall a very dominant team. I think they were fine, perfectly fine in the second half. I think they were very dominant in the first half. But again, it's the challenge. It's the question of turning that dominance into, in the end, a chance that you're definitely going to get. I did see a question there. What was the XG on Quasio's shot? Not sure which one we're referring to here, but I'll say that the highest one, which was in the 11th minute, got a .067.
Wow. Seemed like it was a lot higher. I mean, at least did we not say there was an issue with some of the stats that we're trying to pull early on?
They fixed it. They backfilled.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't showing any shots early does. The .067 is the one that was kind of wide, wide of the goal. Yeah, but wide of the 6-yard area. Okay, so it gets a .067. One from distance, 8 minutes in, gets a .011. So again, right, they're not high percentage chances.
Listen, I will say though, he had a couple nice moments, the shot and that chance that was out wide. I mean, listen, I'm not saying to advocate for a ton of low chances, but again, I think we've also seen this team falls into a bad habit of looking for the perfect shot, and Emi Quajo loosened the defense up a bit, multiple scenarios early on.
It's true, but there's also a balance there.
There is a balance, of course.
When you're taking, you don't want to fight for the perfect shot, but you maybe don't also want to be going for shots that are .01 XG.
I don't think they're calculating that when they're taking it.
If I know they're not, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I know.
There's a happy medium between.
If a guy's gonna bang one in, it's gonna be Emi Quajo. We've seen that in his bag. That's not
it's
unrealistic.
It's true. He scored those kind of goals before. I won't argue that.
Yeah, that's fair. Everyone in the chat, you guys are crushing, by the way. Amelia in the chat. Let's go. BJ asking in the chat as well.
Devinol finished up for the night, apparently.
Devinol, he finished up with the chat. Alexander in the chat. We soccered. Let's go. BJ also asking, we're going to attach stat like your Reese with this. When was the last time Phoenix Rising had 5 shots on goal in a match?
On target, I'm presuming by that.
July against El Paso, the last home win 7 weeks ago. All right, you guys are crushing it in here. So listen, those were the numbers, right? Again, I think fair to say for the most part, I mean, I will say the 2 XG cumulative may be a bit higher than what I thought, but I think overall, certainly from possession, certainly from the shots, certainly from the shots on goal, I think the numbers match the performance this time around.
Yeah, no, I think they do. They again, it was a dominant performance. The problem, again, you take the positive of the win. You really need to, when opponents give you the chance to kill off games, you have to kill off games, because Tulsa, yeah, they are what they are. I mean, look, this was an important match, of course, but again, you have to remember that from Phoenix Rising's perspective, I remember when this club wouldn't have thought anything of beating a team in the bottom half of the table.
Yeah.
Which is what they did tonight. Okay. You have to put games away, because if this is how you play at home against the bottom half of the table team, you're going to have to do a lot better against much better teams on the road come the end of the season.
True.
If opportunities are given to you, you have to take them.
Sure.
Now, again, steps towards that, yes, but there's only so much time for you to take those steps before eventually the time runs out for you to take those steps. This is a critical match, and they got the 3 points. And so, again, only so much that you can really critique. And we will go into one more positive, I'm sure, right after this. But you do have to kill off these games. You can't afford to let a team hang about, because Tulsa, we saw again, it's called offside, but they put the ball in the back of the net at the very end of the game. You could have walked away. You could have walked away with only 1 point tonight. And that's not, I think, reflective of the performance overall. No. I think Rising, it was a deserved 3 points for Phoenix Rising tonight. But you have to kill games off when teams at you.
And again, I not disagreeing. I think this is where I just push back of I don't know if you're always going to see that. And I really hope we do, just for
I know you don't know if you're always going to say that, but the problem is if that's what you do against a team in 7th, what are you going to do against a team in 4th?
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think it's the reality of we have not seen that. So
no, I know.
Hopefully there's time, but as we know, and as we've gone into detail with, time is running out. But hey, keep it positive for a little bit. We will shout out our man of the match. Shout out Tomas Angel, who's not our man of the match. We'll full caveat that.
I've got a story about a man of the match as well.
Owen's already been calling him a penalty merchant. It's really, really hard. How dare you? He just scored his first goal, and you're already bagging on him. No,
this man is trying to cause me enemies when I come back here.
Oh yeah,
because
you would never do that. No. On the real, it was a good performance, but we're gonna give it to the guy, unsung hero, had another rock solid game. It is the one, the only miss. Der Pap Mar boy, the man of the match. 5 clearances, 3 of 4 duels won. And this is a great stat. I don't know if it's a combo, Reese and Kyle, but solid all night. That's something that the stats they just can't measure. Man of the match, Pat Marboy. Again, this is something we were talking about before we hopped on. It is incomparable to think that this man, realistically, in that middle center back spot, probably thinking he's around, 3rd on the depth chart. I mean, especially even earlier in the season, even you're playing 4 out the back, right? 3rd on the depth chart, and now he's an undroppable guy.
There was a point whereby going into the season, you were thinking John Stenberg, Lawrence Wyke, Aleph Wenmayor, Mo Traore.
Yeah.
You could possibly put him at 5.
Go lower.
Here's what I'll say. This one came out at the press conference today with Diego Gomez. This one coming out of there, and it was that Pap went into this game with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Of course, in pre-season, this team played LA Galaxy 2. Aaron Bibu gets the goal against him. And Pap went into this game thinking that he had that bit of a chip on his shoulder, that he was going to stop him. He was going to go that bit further in. And that's, again, we saw a very good performance. I think we saw a very good performance overall defensively from Phoenix Rising. But yes, Pat Marboy, as usual, he is a physical presence in the back. He has got the big, tall frame that allows him to get up and be dangerous aerially. He wins his duels generally. Yeah, broadly speaking, I think the defense was good, and I think they were really good at times at finding good times to make good challenges, particularly snuffing out counterattacks. And there were a lot of times where it felt like Tulsa, you kind of had that, oh, here they go, and then you just had a well-timed challenge. But yes, Pat Marboy, again, he's someone who I think we went into this season, we knew that obviously the guy had promise. There was a reason that MLS was interested in him at the level they were in terms of where he'd go in the draft. But he's just, I think, taken a real step up this year. And it goes beyond that, right? We hear a lot of things about some of these guys and the way they are off the field. Pat Marboy, he's turned into, despite being one of the younger players on this team, he's become a very vocal guy in that group and a really critical part of that group.
You can hear it in the back, not only just him, but, Rocco Rios Novo, which we already know has been a veteran, but lest we forget, this guy's, 21? You got 2 young
Maybe
guys.
Just 22 now?
Yeah. Either way,
he became old enough to drink partway through last season.
That's a fair shot. That's where the memory comes from. Yeah, I mean, you have two guys in their very young age, earlier in their careers, who are leading this team in the back. It's just confirmed 22. Yeah, man, it's awesome. Again, also if Pat Marboy is taking it personally from a preseason match against LA Galaxy 2, ooh, I love that. I absolutely love that. Let's go. Great performance, right, by him. I think, again, to your point, defense had a couple really well-timed challenges. I mean, overall, again, Tulsa, I don't think they were in open play. Not a ton to worry about. But I think the big thing, too, and that you point out, this team preyed upon Phoenix Rising in their previous matchup, that 3-3 draw earlier in the season on set pieces. You saw none of that.
No.
You saw none of it. Not a whiff.
No, again, I think if Tulsa were going to get anything tonight, it was going to be a counterattack kind of situation. The set pieces, they didn't really have a lot of success. Again, Rising's really clamped down on those in recent games. There's a reason they're keeping a lot of clean sheets in a row here, and it's because they're able to really not be threatened too much in those moments. You're not seeing Rocco Rios Nova called into too many saves at times, which, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe if he'd been able to stat pad a little bit, maybe Rocco would be up for more awards, and he's up
honestly,
in general. But
I don't hate that our goalkeeper isn't winning awards, because he's crushing it. But it's nice to know that he doesn't have too much to do on a certain night.
No, I know. It's all a balance, of course. Look, he's a very good player. But he's helped, I think, immensely by a defense that really is starting to get into lockstep recently. They found out what they're going to do defensively, shut down opponents, and they're doing it week in, week out. It's impressive to watch. They are, again, in those set piece moments. I think Tulsa was a big turning point. The away game in Tulsa was a big turning point when they realized, I think, that you just have to be better on set pieces. And of course, you're going to realize that after giving up 2 in one game in the way that they did.
Yeah.
But they've shut down a lot of opposition set pieces, in particularly recently. And again, it's just good to watch a team, I think, that feels defensively sound.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you in games. But the problem again as well, it's the mixed bag. They're
Yeah.
not always going to, it's not that they're going to have a bad game necessarily. But you don't need a bad game. You need an individual lapse. And that's all you ever need. The margins are slim. If you're only scoring one, you're always going to have the
100%.
risk of what happens.
100%.
But still defensively solid. They will keep this team in games. I think that sometimes this team may or may not have business being in just because they are so defensively solid between Rocco and between that back line.
Absolutely. A couple other standout performances. Again, talked about him a bit earlier. I mean, Quajo, again, I think this is one of his more proactive games. Again, I mentioned the assist, but even just getting some of those chances early on, even conjured up mainly by himself, crushed it there. Charlie Dennis, I don't even think this was necessarily one of those performances where lighting the world on fire, but we were fine. No, but we were saying it throughout the match. That man got fouled, called or not, going to ground 7, 8, 9 times. He was beat up and just man's a physical presence, just keeps on going. That's nice to have someone who is a bit pressure resistant in the base of that midfield. It's very reassuring in a lot of ways, even when he's not going to be lighting up and necessarily picking out the inch perfect pass, which he can do at times. It's nice to have that in your midfield. Anyone else?
Charlie won 3 fouls, apparently.
Yes. And again, so many more that were not called.
Yeah.
So many more that were not called. I know.
Max Simpson, turn it into referee talk, eh? Give this man a fine.
Me of all people.
Tampa, give him a fine.
Oh, Tampa.
Give him a fine. Yeah. What are we doing here?
Boy.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it was physical game early on. Tulsa came into, I think, I wouldn't say playing negatively, but they weren't
5-7 times.
They weren't coming in to play a free-flowing style of football.
No,
they came in to accept that they were going to have to defend for large stretches, and I think their hope was that Rising's struggles in terms of finding that final ball were going to continue tonight. Their hope was that was going to be the story, because we've seen that so many times from Phoenix Rising. Obviously, when Rising get the goal at the end of the first half, that does change things from Tulsa's perspective. They do improve a bit in the second half because they have to change their attitude. But a hallmark of playing in that more negative style is probably you're going to be more physical. You're going to have to throw yourselves around a little bit more and commit to certain challenges that could well be called as fouls. And so, as you look at that, yeah, I think it was kind of to be expected, but in a physical, kind of feisty game, again, they come out on top.
Absolutely. It wasn't, when we come back from break, talk a little bit more, maybe do a little USL championship dancing around there. But
not many games today.
You're talking about, I mean, I'm also projecting for tomorrow, but right, you're talking about, right, it wasn't necessarily the most free-flowing game at times from Tulsa, but I'll tell you what, from something that's free-flowing, go to Valley Tap Room, because they have the beer that is free-flowing.
Beer.
Yes. Tap Room. They got the lager drink, got the cider drink, got the, well, that's kind of all that applies. They got the ale drink.
They got 30 taps.
They do. They got 30.
And a fridge.
And a fridge.
They
have multiple fridges.
That fridge has a lot of different beer in it as well.
They sure do. They got multiple fridges with multiple beers in it. Again, they have the trivia nights. They have all the types of fun things. Again, Gilbert location. What else do they have at Gilbert location?
Gilbert location. They had, a couple of months ago, we went to watch Spain Safe Football.
Right, they did.
They got the Queen Creek location, which now I hear they're opening early for NFL Sundays.
Oh, yes.
There we go. It's around the corner now.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's this weekend.
Oh my gosh, football is back, so back.
Football's been going for ages,
and
man.
That's
That's
exactly it. You beat me to it, but yes, Valley Tap Room. Check them out, valleytaproom.com. Find them on socials at Valley Tap Room. Again, they're 2 locations, Gilbert and Queen Creek. Valley Tap Room, great time. Great place, great people. There's 80+ of you in the chat. Make sure to hit that like button. And of course, also, right, shout out many diehards in the chat, people repping merch. Eric, shout out if you're in the chat. We can't see because there's a lot of you in there.
Shout out the diehards.
We'll bring
up more
merch
on that in a bit. But Should we do a little bit of around the US?
Well, of course, as I'm finishing talking about the diehards, you're interrupting because I got to shout out the merch. Go to gophnx.com. Again, check out the locker. Check out some diehard stuff. Again, we're going to mention that in a little bit here. But right, shout out everyone supporting us. Again, back-to-back wins. First time all season, but it's nice to see 80 plus of you here in the pod, in the post-game show. It's awesome. Again, go phnx.com. Become a diehard today if you want to get on the action. Super fun stuff. Merch, Discord, and some exclusive content.
We'll explain that in a bit.
Yes, we will. If you also want a place to watch football, again, we have multiple football events coming up. Cardinals tailgates, as well as Cardinals away games. First one again this Sunday at Gila Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. Join us there. I will be there. If you're wearing a PHNX Rising shirt, I'll buy you a beer. If you're at Gila Resorts Casinos, 10 a.m. kickoff this Sunday. Sunday.
There you go. All right. Ram the USL.
Let's do it.
Final scores from today: 2 games. Louisville City 1, Loudoun United 0.
Teams that start with L.
New Mexico United 1, the Miami FC 0.
I thought Messi scored.
All right, no more games today. That was it.
Yeah, nice.
No
That was quick.
It's a Friday night.
It is a
Saturday
Friday
games. Looking ahead to Saturday.
Not all of them.
Hartford Athletic versus Indy 11.
Oh, you're going to do all of them, aren't you?
Pittsburgh Riverhounds
doing all of
versus
them.
Rhode Island.
Woof.
Charleston Battery versus Sacramento Republic.
I mean, in theory, that's a really good game,
That's
but
a
my
really
gosh,
good game.
Sac is.
North Carolina versus
good.
Oakland Roots. Colorado Springs Switchbacks versus Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Interesting.
El Paso
Interesting.
Locomotive versus Detroit City.
Ugh.
And Monterey Bay versus San Antonio.
I mean,
That one's the big one.
We want to draw. We want to draw on that one.
A draw does help Rising. If either team wins, it keeps them in a position whereby they're not a million
We
miles off
want
of Phoenix
draw.
Rising. You want one of those
We
teams probably
want the
to-
draw.
No, you don't want.
Yeah,
either
we
of those
want the
teams to win.
draw. We want the draw. Oh, we thought we were doing a bit.
No,
You didn't see. Why?
no, we weren't doing a
I
bit
was-
there, Max.
We were all. Everyone else in the
Max
room
is
was
singing.
Everyone
again.
else in the room was singing.
Why is Max singing?
Okay, you were the only one that was
Oh,
left out.
Max. All right. Well, you know what? We've done a little around the USL. I think it's time to invite a new competitor up here because we need to talk. We were talking earlier about diehards. We were talking earlier about what those diehards are going to get. We're going to get an exclusive live stream in the near future. Okay. And I need to tell you what that live stream is. Challenger, are you ready?
Who is the challenger?
I'd like to invite. We're bringing him up here. Bring him in. Stand right in the middle. So Max, stand forward a bit. Mate. Oh, stand there a bit. Let the lackey come in. He's a bit tall for this. Kneel down a little bit if you want. Oh, that's okay. It's only briefly.
It's gonna be get into your stance.
So, coming up in the very near future, date to be announced soon, we will have, as people are bashing the ceiling in, the Hot Dog Helpers Hot Dog Challenge.
10 dogs, 10 minutes.
But he's going to do as many as he can in the 10 minutes.
he said to cook
He
20.
thinks he can do
He
at
said
least
to
10.
cook 20.
We
You
are
said to
going to
cook
cook
20.
20. We're going to cook
I
20.
did not say cook 20.
We're gonna cook
I'm not
20.
eating 20.
Yeah, but we want to see how many you can eat. So we're going for 20 because you won't get to 20.
true.
Okay?
We believe in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm getting 10.
But can he get 10? The line, he reckons that he can do 10. Max is going to set the line in advance, close to the time. We'll have some, I think, some tiered kind of. We can put a few fun bets
will.
in there, and
We'll figure it out.
where we'd put
It's a
them.
diehard exclusive.
It will be a diehard exclusive. It will be fun. Get yourself signed up to be a diehard because this will be. You're gonna watch as NJ Bandito comes in with the Glizzy Gobbler, right? Yeah.
the Glizzy Gobbler,
Glizzy
Not
Gobbler.
making that a thing.
the hot dog
We're not
helper,
making that name a thing.
the Frankfurter
Okay.
fella,
The Glizzy Gobbler is taking on
the
10
Weenie
minutes
Warrior.
of hot dogs. NJ Bandito with Are They Rising Dogs? And the answer to that is no. This is not
No free ads. No free ads.
This
no free ads.
is
no free ads.
not-
No free ads.
like Guantanamo Bay. We can't do that to this poor lad. To be fair, I've heard mixed reviews on the hot dogs here. Some people seem to have said they've been okay. I've heard some bad reviews as well. But that's a mixed bag. That's a separate thing. But we would not make him eat 10 of those rising dogs. No.
He's already done one
no.
on his own accord, so that's fine.
There is a constitutional prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment, and we are going to abide by that. Thank you very much. Reese is grateful for that.
I am very
But we would not do rising dogs for that. No, that would be mean. We won't make him do that. But yes, Reese, you feeling it? You hyped?
Oh, yeah.
You're training.
Absolutely.
You're in training for this.
Yeah, I mean, had a dog in the cafeteria today at ASU.
Absolutely.
Easy money.
Gobbling down those glizzies. Let's go.
Absolutely. And Reese's stomach. What say you on the matter? Okay, cool. That's why I wanted to make sure.
There was that moment where you just hold it there, and Reese
He's
is
just
just
like,
kind of like,
yeah.
I hope it doesn't just rumble weirdly now. Like, the worst thing that could happen is that weird noise that sometimes just comes out. Okay, well,
little gurgle. Oh boy, yeah.
I think we're about wrapping up here now, aren't we?
Yeah, that's about the
That's
Loopy
about
Hour.
it.
We appreciate everyone joining us here on the PHNX Rising post-game show. We'll be back at it Tuesday, 6 p.m. Of course, in the meantime, you can follow us at PHNX__rising because double the underscore.
Double the beers when I get home.
Yeah, also double the wins. First time all season.
Very
That
true,
feels
very
good to
true, very
say.
true.
Follow me on Twitter at Max David Simpson. You can follow Owen on Twitter at OJ Evans 18. You can follow this guy has like 9 nicknames now, at least. You can follow Reese at Reese11_.
The Stat Lackey, the Hot Dog Helper,
the Glizzy Gobbler, the Weenie Warrior,
the Bun Bandit.
the Bun. That's such a He's got another one, but I promised him I won't say it anymore. And you can follow Kyle on Twitter at KCoop Sports. It was awesome getting him out here, meeting the people. And also, by the way, Kyle now first Rising match in person, first Rising wins in back-to-back matches. He has to come to everyone now.
Kyle has
You're
to
here.
come to
Yeah.
all of these now.
You have to hold him to it. Again,
Kyle is just looking at us now like, you can't make
Again,
this
KCoop
up.
Sports. Make sure to tweet
The
at him,
people will
especially
insist.
on match days, home match days, morning of, 2 hours away, 1 hour away from kickoff.
Max, the last time you told people on here to tweet at someone from our company, that didn't end well, mate.
I'm okay with it with Kyle. I'm okay with it with Kyle. We're going to break the rule for Kyle. We love Kyle so much. We're going to break the rule for him. But yes, appreciate everyone joining us back Tuesday, 6 p.m. Hit the like button on your way out. It helps us out a ton. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's a beautiful game, but it's way more beautiful when Phoenix Rising gets the dub and back-to-back matches for the first time all season. Good night, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.